The sound designer who recorded himself saying a nonsense word into a microphone and accidentally created the most quoted alien language in 1990s cinema. The military that refused to loan a single Jeep because the script made the Army look like idiots. Jack Nicholson, who couldn't choose between two roles, so Tim Burton paid him twice and let him play both.
Thank you, Mitch.
And a secret ending where the most terrifying invasion force in film history dissolves into a field of screaming babies. On these are 15 incredible facts about Mars Attacks. 1996, you never knew. 1. The alien language was a placeholder. Nobody bothered to replace the Martians' iconic ack, ack, ack wasn't designed. It was improvised and then forgotten about. Sound designer Randy Tom needed something to test audio timing during early production work. He leaned into a microphone and said, ack, ack, ack out loud. Recorded it and dropped it into the sequence as a temporary track. It was a placeholder, a stand-in. Something to be replaced later by a proper alien language constructed with deliberate craft and intention. Tim Burton heard it and refused to let anyone touch it. He loved the stupidity of it, the flatness, the way it sounded both threatening and completely ridiculous at the same time. The production team ran Tom's voice through a digital scrambler to give it a slightly more intergalactic texture, and that was the entire process. The most quoted alien sound effect in 1990s cinema is one person saying a nonsense word into a microphone during a sound check. Nobody planned it. Nobody fought for it. It just survived. 2. Tim Burton's entire pitch was about killing famous people. The studio meeting where Mars Attacks got greenlit was brief and extremely strange. Tim Burton's pitch had one central idea: cast the biggest stars in Hollywood and then kill all of them within the first 40 minutes. That was it. That was the movie. A parade of A-list talent vaporized, melted, decapitated, and disintegrated in increasingly creative ways by green alien death rays. It was a direct and deliberate attack on the disaster movie formula that had dominated 1990s Hollywood. Those films kept their stars alive. They gave them heroic arcs. They let them save the world. Burton wanted to kill them immediately and keep going. Jack Nicholson, Pierce Brosnan, Danny DeVito, and Sarah Jessica Parker all signed on because they found the concept genuinely funny. Being vaporized by a Martian in a Tim Burton film felt more interesting than surviving one. Hollywood's biggest names lined up to die on screen. Burton obliged every single one of them. 3. Jack Nicholson couldn't choose a role, so he played. Both Jack Nicholson wanted to play the President of the United States. He also wanted to play the sleazy Las Vegas real estate developer. He could not decide between them and made this problem Tim Burton's problem. Burton's solution was characteristically straightforward: play both. Nicholson was paid a double salary and spent the production split between two completely different characters with two different wardrobes, two different trailers, and two entirely different performance modes. The makeup sessions became their own production challenge as he transitioned between roles. He reportedly spent significant time in the makeup chair arguing with himself about which character's energy he was supposed to be bringing to whichever set he was walking on to next. On some days, according to crew members, he had to be reminded which version of Jack Nicholson the camera was currently pointed at. 2 roles, 1 actor, 0 hesitation. Only Tim Burton would consider this a normal production decision. 4. The film started as a dinosaur movie. Mars Attacks was adapted from a 1962 Topps trading card set. What most people don't know is how close those cards came to being about something completely different. The original concept for the card series was dinosaurs attack, prehistoric creatures returning to destroy modern civilization. The creators pivoted to Martians because they decided aliens were more frightening than dinosaurs. They were probably wrong, but that's the call they made. When the film went into development decades later, an early draft of the screenplay brought dinosaurs back into the story. The Martians arrived on Earth accompanied by a T-Rex, and the centerpiece of the film was a battle between the dinosaur and the United States Army. The CGI dinosaur budget was redirected to pay for the massive celebrity cast instead. Somewhere in a development archive, there's a version of Mars Attacks where Jack Nicholson faces a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That film does not exist. It absolutely should. 5. The Slim Whitman. Death ray has real scientific basis. The film's climactic solution, Slim Whitman's high-pitched yodeling destroying the Martian's brains from the inside, sounds like pure absurdist comedy. It is also, at least in theory, grounded in real acoustic physics. The production consulted with a fringe acoustic scientist who explained that certain frequencies of high-pitched vocal performance can create resonance vibrations in thin-walled hollow structures. The effect is essentially identical to an opera singer shattering a wine glass. The right pitch, sustained at the right intensity, causes the walls of the glass to vibrate beyond their structural tolerance until they fail. The Martians' skulls are thin. Their brains are exposed. The physics, the scientist argued, were not entirely implausible. Tim Burton found this information delightful and used it to justify the entire finale. Whether the science actually holds up is a question for people with more physics training than a 1990s Hollywood production team. But the joke has a real footnote. That's more than most comedy science fiction bothers with. 6. The sets smelled like rotting deli meat. Making the Martians look genuinely organic and unsettling required more than CGI and clever design work. The costume and props team wanted the alien figures to feel physically wrong. Not mechanical, not cleanly artificial, but something between living tissue and manufactured object. Their solution involved wet latex and vegetable oils layered inside the Martian suit interiors. The combination gave the figures a texture and visual quality that read as organic on camera. Under studio lighting, it cooked. The heat from the production lights slowly warmed the oils and latex throughout each shooting day. Crew members working close to the Martian figures described the smell as rotting deli meat. Not faintly, distinctly, pervasively. The sets that looked gloriously bizarre and kinetic on screen were, at ground level, an extended olfactory endurance test for everyone involved. Nobody put this in the marketing materials. Nobody mentioned it in the press junket. But every crew member who worked those stages knows exactly what Mars Attacks smells like. 7. Tim Burton recycled his own Batman sets. Mars Attacks was filmed at Warner Brothers Studios. Tim Burton had filmed Batman there years earlier. He noticed that several of his old set pieces were still in storage, slightly dusty but structurally intact. He used them. The hotel hallways visible during the Las Vegas sequences are the same corridors built for the Joker's hideouts in the Batman films. The bones of the sets are identical. The production repainted everything in the bright, lurid, atomic-age color palette that Mars Attacks required. Candy colors, neon accents, aggressively kitschy 1950s aesthetics layered over infrastructure that previously housed the darkest corners of Gotham City. Most viewers never notice the connection, and the visual language of the two films is so completely different that the shared architecture is invisible. Gotham's shadows became Vegas neon. The Joker's corridors became a Martian killing ground. Burton didn't waste sets. He just changed the lighting and moved on. 8. It was supposed to be stop motion and almost killed. The production. Tim Burton's original vision for Mars Attacks had nothing to do with CGI. He wanted stop-motion animation for the Martians, physical puppets, a frame-by-frame manipulation, the same handcrafted technique used in The Nightmare Before Christmas. He spent months developing articulated Martian puppet figures and significant production money building the infrastructure to film them. The process was too slow. The timeline was impossible. With the release date immovable and the stop-motion pipeline nowhere near functional, the production pivoted entirely to CGI at the last minute. But Burton gave the animation team a specific and unusual directive. Make the CGI look wrong. Make it look stiff and clunky and slightly off, the way a 1950s B-movie would look if it had access to modern technology, but chose not to use it elegantly. The awkward quality people sometimes criticize in the Martian animation was entirely intentional. Burton wanted the seams to show. He just wanted them to be his seams. 9. Sarah Jessica Parker. Spent 10 hours in a hole. The scene where a Martian scientist transplants Sarah Jessica Parker's head onto the body of her Chihuahua is one of the film's most memorable images. Getting that image on camera was one of the production's most genuinely uncomfortable days. Parker sat in a hole cut into the floor of the set for approximately 10 hours across the filming day. Her body was below floor level. Only her head was visible, positioned at Chihuahua height on a specially built platform. A real living Chihuahua was placed on a separate platform directly beside her face. The dog had no idea what was happening or why. Parker spent the majority of that 10-hour day at eye level with a confused small animal, maintaining the performance required while the crew worked around the practical complexities of making two living creatures appear to share one body. She later said she spent more time forming a genuine bond with that Chihuahua than with most of her human co-stars on the film. The dog was not available for comment. 10. Tom Jones refused a stunt double and stayed in character all day. When the Martians level Las Vegas, Tom Jones appears in the film as himself, performing in a casino that is actively being destroyed around him. He refused a stunt double for the sequence where he narrowly avoids a collapsing building. Jones decided that using a double would undercut the authenticity of what he was doing on screen. He wanted the danger to read as real because it was real, or at least real enough. He personally performed the dodge and the scramble through collapsing set pieces. His reasoning, reported by crew members who were present, was simple. It would look tougher. He also maintained his performance as Tom Jones, not the character Tom Jones, but Tom Jones, the actual person. Throughout the entire shooting day, regardless of whether cameras were rolling, between takes, during setups, during lunch. Tom Jones all day, no interruptions. Nobody on the crew apparently found this unusual. This might say more about Tom Jones than it does about the crew. 11. The Martian leader was animated to never blink. Once look at the Martian ambassador during any of his scenes and pay attention to his eyes. He never blinks, not once, across every frame of his screen time. This was a deliberate animation decision made early in production. The team wanted the ambassador to trigger something specific in the audience. Not fear exactly, but a deep, instinctual wrongness. The uncanny valley effect that makes something almost but not quite human feel more disturbing than something completely alien. Blinking is one of the most fundamental human involuntary behaviors. Its absence, even in a cartoon Martian, registers subconsciously. Audiences can't articulate why the ambassador feels more threatening than the other Martians, but they feel it. The animators also designed the Martians' exposed brains to pulse red when they became angry, using translucent resin to make the effect visible. Most of this detail disappeared in the final chaotic edit of the film. The non-blinking survived. It's still there. Watch for it. 12. Mars Attacks and Independence Day were at war with each other. Both films came out in 1996. Both featured Martians destroying American landmarks. Both blew up the White House. The productions were aware of each other and deeply competitive about it. When Tim Burton saw the Independence Day trailer and watched their White House destruction sequence, he called his team together and gave them a single directive. Make their version sillier. Make it more neon. Make it so visually absurd that nobody could possibly confuse the two films or think Mars Attacks was attempting the same thing seriously. He wanted the comparison to be the joke. Independence Day played its destruction straight, with swelling music and emotional weight. Mars Attacks played its version as pure cartoon carnage, deliberately overlit and gleefully ridiculous. The White House has been destroyed on film dozens of times. Only one of those versions was designed specifically to mock the other versions while they were still in theaters. Burton won that argument by refusing to have it. 13. The real military refused to help. Because the script made them look stupid, major Hollywood productions routinely partner with the U.S. Department of Defense. The military provides equipment, locations, and personnel, The studio provides positive portrayals of military competence and heroism. Everyone benefits. Mars Attacks broke this arrangement immediately. The Department of Defense read the script and flatly refused to participate. The military in the film is incompetent, panicked, and completely ineffective against the Martian invasion. The general, played by Rod Steiger, that is written and performed as a warmongering lunatic whose only response to every situation is escalating firepower that accomplishes nothing. The DoD pushed for revisions that would make the Army look more capable and heroic. Burton declined. The consequence was logistical. Every military vehicle in the film, every tank, every aircraft, every piece of hardware had to be built from scratch by the production design team. The real military wouldn't loan a single Jeep. The toy-like quality of the film's military hardware isn't an aesthetic choice. It's what happens when you refuse to let the Army tell you how to portray the Army. 14. The Martian brain design was hiding a specific secret. The Martians' enormous, pulsing, exposed brains weren't designed arbitrarily. They were built as a direct visual reference to a specific image from the original 1962 trading cards. The cards featured a distinctive skull illustration. Yet the production designers used it as their starting point and worked forward from there, asking what that skull would look like if it were alive, if the brain were visible and active and responding to the world around it. The answer was translucent resin with internal lighting rigs that could pulse and shift color based on the Martian's emotional state. Calm scenes, cool light; aggressive scenes, deep red. The effect required precise coordination between the animation team and the original concept artists. It was sophisticated, layered work that survived into the final film almost invisibly. Most viewers never catch the brain-pulsing detail during the film's chaotic action sequences. The frames move too fast. The carnage is too distracting. It's there in every scene, a secret left in plain sight by people who cared more than the audience ever noticed. 15. There was a darker ending where the Martians turn into babies. The ending audiences saw, Slim Whitman's yodeling causing Martian heads to explode in gloriously cartoonish fashion, was not the only ending developed for the film. A significantly darker and stranger alternate conclusion existed in development. In this version, the Martians weren't invaders by choice. They were refugees. Something catastrophic was pursuing them across the galaxy, something worse than themselves. And Earth was simply the nearest available destination. When the Slim Whitman frequency hits them, it doesn't just kill them. It causes them to de-evolve. The conquering Martian army dissolves into screaming, helpless infants. The studio found this too strange even by the standards of a Tim Burton film about alien invasion. They pushed for the exploding heads. They got the exploding heads. The refugee version of the Martians would have turned the entire film into something genuinely melancholy underneath the comedy. An army of babies where a threat used to be. It didn't survive, but it existed. And the film that could have been is more interesting than most films that actually got made. So which truth about Mars Attacks hit hardest? Drop your answer in the comments and let us know. Would you trust a Martian who said they came in peace? Or are you already loading up Slim Whitman just in case? Subscribe and hit the bell. More classic sci-fi secrets are coming.